What is up, guys? Welcome back to the modded career mode. We're here for round 5 in Spain, and straight off the bat you're taking a penalty for a gearbox issues that obviously we had in Baku, so we couldn't run this gearbox, and that was in practice, so it's going to be a bit of a tricky tricky weekend here at the Circuit de Barcelona. The car's actually got pretty good pace, over one lap for sure. The pace is there or thereabouts. It's just getting it together for a few runs, but make it easy into Q2. This is obviously going to get a little bit more tricky. The one, we actually ended up not doing that great. We only got in by the skin of our teeth, which obviously wasn't great. It was, my cheeks were clenched trying to get through. But Norris, Raikkonen, Grosjean, and Kvyat and Vettel was out in Q2, so Sebastian Vettel had an awful qualifying. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but as we're smashing through qualifying, P5's not too bad, but on our final run, and we just lost it in the gravel trap, so there wasn't much point continuing that. So we ended up finishing P6, but obviously with the grid penalty that we have, it's gonna be difficult. It's only a 5-place grid penalty, so we're starting P11. But like I said, the pace is there. It's just trying to extract out the car for a consistent amount of time, which is going to be the key here. Overcast conditions as well, obviously, which is not great for ourselves, but it's going to be interesting. Vettel far down the grid. We'll have to see what happens. Obviously, Vettel coming from behind us, he's going to be a difficult one to challenge, but we're obviously going to have a look at the grid and see whereabouts everybody is. So starting on pole position is, of course, Lewis Hamilton himself, followed by Pierre Gasly, Bottas, and then Verstappen. So none of the Ferraris in the two front rows. Charles Leclerc with Nico Hülkenberg and Ricciardo. Good qualifying from Renault. McLaren pick up the slack, both cars into Q3. Ourselves in P11, so in that actual fact, Norris didn't get it through. Raikkonen's behind us, Grosjean, Kvyat, Vettel again, 15th, that's insane. Force India also towards the back, and obviously no surprise there, both Williams on the back row of the grid. This time Kubica actually out-qualified Russell, which is quite good. But there's Sebastian Vettel. He's so far down the grid, you can barely see him in the shot, which is mental, but his teammate Charles Leclerc should be doing good. It's going to be a difficult day for the Ferraris, to be fair. We'll have to see what happens. But there's pole man, Lewis Hamilton. It's going to be interesting to see what he can do, and if he can convert it into back-to-back wins, which would be helpful to get his season underway. But we're on the grid, waiting for the lights to go out, and we are underway, and we get an absolutely shocking start. Revs, what are they? They're a myth at this point. We're so far away from the rest of the field. We've got Kimi on our inside. I'm going to have a little cheeky look. We're going to go all the way around the outside. Nice little door opened to get past Lando Norris. We're going to squidge past Carlos Sainz. We literally scuffed the side of him and somehow made it through. We're going to try and see what we can make up here. Magnussen coming really close. We had to put our brakes on there because Magnussen, don't know what short he's doing. We're going to have to go all the way around, but he's going to get a better drive. We're going to go up his inside. And again, Jesus Christ, Magnussen. He tried to brake test us twice in a space of a few corners. So pretty mental first couple of corners, to be fair, but let's look and see what happened at the start of the race for the front two drivers, the ones we're focused on more or less. Pierre Gasly got off to a much better start than Lewis, but whether the Red Bull can outdrag the Mercedes down into turn 1 remains to be seen, and it looks like Hamilton is going to have to go the long way around. He does indeed, and he's going to hold on to that, which isn't too bad, but good start from Gasly for sure. We got Charles Leclerc having a look at Bottas now, which is quite an interesting move. Bottas on the soft compound tyre compared to Charles super soft. Most of the top runners are on super soft bar Bottas, so Bottas is going to be under a lot of pressure on the first stint at least. You can see now Verstappen down the start finish straight nonetheless, so he must have got a really poor exit. And then Sebastian Vettel a little bit further back is having a look at the Haas, I believe Romain Grosjean. So Vettel goes through, he's going to make up a few positions himself. But Bottas, now he's under pressure from the Renault, so that's Hülkenberg trying to make a move on him. And Ricciardo just behind that, and ourselves just behind Danny Rick there. So Hülkenberg's all the way through. He's going to actually slow him down mid-apex, which is quite interesting. But and to see it from our perspective, you can see we're right up the gearbox of Danny Rick. He's going to get a bit of a better exit. It was a bit compromised coming into there. We're going to have to try and see if we can slow it around the outside. There's just enough room. We're going to go side by side through this really elongated chicane, but still side by side, and he's going to have to yield. One of us is, and luckily Danny Rick, we get a little bit sideways on the exit, mind you, but we actually do manage to make it through, which isn't too bad. Now we come up to the back of Bottas, who is going incredibly slow. it's weird because obviously I'm assuming because it's overcast, his tyres just aren't working at all. But obviously we've reached past on our super soft. We've got to try and see if we can catch up to Hulkenberg as best we can. We've got Carlos Sainz looking to make a move on one of the Haas cars. Looks like it was Romain Grosjean. Not the best camera angle in the world, if I'm honest. You can you can't really see much, but it shows off his helmet very well. You can see actually just ahead of us. There's, I believe that's us. We're battling. Yeah, we're battling Ricardo. So Ricardo came at us. We have to cut away from that because there's a little bit of drama going on down here. We've got Alexander Albon who gets spun around by Charles Leclerc, and well, he's just going to stall the car, and he had to retire from that, which was quite weird. But Hamilton obviously made a pit stop, comes out just ahead of Bottas. He's got to fight him, and Bottas may have the lead. He's going to have to yield just to let his teammate through, obviously on a slightly different strategy. But Vettel, that was on the back of Bottas as well, so Bottas is in a world of hurt at this point in time. But we've got Robert Kubica there, very far back on his own. He's got no one around him or anything, but it looks like he's going incredibly slowly, so this could be a retirement for the Polish driver, and that is, he's pulling off to the right hand side. So 2 retirements in a very quick space. But there's Lance Stroll, who's in the gaggle of cars just ahead of us as we're trying to catch up to Hulkenberg and everyone after our first pit stop. So Lance Stroll is, I want to say he's in the same boat as Bottas. I don't think he's pit yet, so he's holding everybody up. Car ahead of us, Carlos Sainz, is the car we're racing more or less. We've got Lance Stroll there again. That could have been a very dangerous collision, rubbing tyres against each other. But you can see we're now in pursuit of Carlos Sainz. Thankfully he got held up. And when they dive it down his inside, we bang tyres. We have literally got our elbows out for this race because we started so far down. We have good pace, but obviously the grid penalty hindered us a little bit. But Carlos Sainz is going to come back at us as he's going to have a massive chunk of DRS. We're going to have to turn everything up to 11. We've got DRS, but it's really not making much of a difference. Sparks akimbo all the way down to start finish straight. We're going to have to go all the way around. We bang tyres again, and it actually sends us off the track, which is quite ironic. So having some good old battles with some of these drivers again. Elbows out, trying to make as many moves as we can. Kimi Räikkönen against Charles Leclerc locks up a little bit, so Charles going to have to get through there just about. Kimi putting up a good little fight, but Charles, man, on a mission this weekend, trying to make up as much points for Ferrari as seeing as that. There we go again with Carlos Sainz down into turn 1, and Vettel's trying to make a move down inside of Daniel Ricciardo. There were 3 abreast at that point, but Ricciardo manages to come out on top. And we managed to keep our position ahead of Carlos Sainz. There's so many cars racing, and Kimi again locking up, doing a defensive move, that time against Verstappen. So it's interesting to see. Kimi might have a few issues with his brakes, might want to make move the brake bias. But there is Sebastian Vettel going to have a look at us as well, as he's going to switch to the inside. He absolutely duped us, so we're going to have to go all the way around the outside, and going to bang wheels with Vettel again. We're not moving over for no one this race, but yeah. So many cars battling at the moment. It's so good to see. We're going to go down the inside of Vettel, and that was a clean overtake there. A little bit of a dive bomb, don't get me wrong, but it is what it is. End of the day, we managed to get past with no contact. But Pierre Gasly now having a look at Lewis Hamilton. This is for the lead of the Grand Prix. So Gasly locks up heavily into turn 1, and he actually managed to make the corner and gain that position on Hamilton. So Pierre Gasly leading the race at this point in time, which is phenomenal for him. But Bottas, who's again further down the order, better tyres now, so he's kind of level playing field with most of the team, so he's going to start making up a few positions here and there. But Vettel again coming after us. We're going to do the exact same again, down the inside with Vettel. This time we go a little bit wide, and that was really cheeky of us, really cheeky. We carried too much speed in, but we did what we can. We've got Norris, who I believe has been overtaken by Bottas, but all the cars ahead of him, we've got the Renault a little bit further up than that. We've got the Haas ahead of us, and I believe Norris has made that move on Bottas. Well, they're still fighting side by side, but Norris is actually giving it a really good go on Valtteri Bottas to try and get this position, which is only a few positions behind us. Kimi waiting in the background, trying to pick up any pieces that he can. You can see we're pulling out a little bit of a gap to Sebastian now. We're not energy harvesting and fuel saving, but bloody good battle between Norris and Bottas. Then did a fantastic job to actually get in that position itself, but Vettel's actually got past us again. We're going to go down to the inside, a lot cleaner than the last one, I'll give you that much at least. So we're having a ding-dong battle with Vettel. We can see Bottas is now fancying a move on Vettel as Vettel's compromised, and Bottas is going to have to go the long way round which so far this Grand Prix has actually worked out pretty well for us. And they're actually banging wheels as well. So there's so many fights, and they're so competitive as well. But Bottas does get the move done on Vettel, which is fair play to him. We've got Kim in the background fighting with Ricciardo. We actually understeer so incredibly wide. We're going to try and hold it. We're going to be really wide compared to Bottas. But we're going to have to see if we can hold it round the chicane and dive down. So we managed to keep that position for now. We were under so much pressure. We've got two McLarens fighting with Magnussen. That's Norris locking up. And just ahead of that is Bottas. So Bottas still there and in the mix. Gasly actually leaves the pit lane after pitting for his final stop. Comes out just ahead of Charles Leclerc. So that's quite handy for him. We make our second pit stop, and then Bottas, he jumped us in the pit lane. But you know, he's on the medium tyres, which was a really odd strategy to say the least. So we're going to open the DRS, turn up to 11, and we're going to easily breeze past him down the straight. I'm just going to try and hold him off. Him and Vettel, like we have been for the last couple of times, but now the McLarens are both battling. Norris looks like to have the move done straight past his teammate Carlos Sainz, because we've got Bottas coming after us and we've got Sebastian coming after us. So this is going to be incredibly difficult to try and defend from both of these top tier cars. We're going to stay down the middle, and we managed just to hold our breath and actually keep the position into turn 1. But Kimi is smashing it right now. He is ahead of us. I know he's on a 2-stop strategy, but you know, he's smashing it ahead of us at the moment. But there's Hamilton leading the race. Not much longer to go in this Grand Prix. Gasly, you can see in the background, is hunting him down as quick as possible. But absolutely mental. And here we've got the other McLaren of, I believe that's Lando. He's going to have him make a move on Magnussen, and he looks like he's going to get the move done. So Norris is up into the points. That was Norris into the points. But we've got Pierre Gasly now on the penultimate lap. Having a look at Hamilton, Gasly's closed up so well. Mercedes opted for the medium strategy, clearly. But it's going to be interesting to see if Gasly can get him down the start-finish straight. And if he can get him down the start-finish straight, then that's the first win for Red Bull this season and for Pierre Gasly. So Gasly's rear wing wide open, coming up to the back of Lewis Hamilton. You can see he's going to go to the left-hand side now, at least. Anyway, he's going to go all the way around the outside, and Hamilton's going to have no answer for that. That's going to be Gasly through into the lead for the last lap. But absolutely cracking job by Pierre Gasly to make up the time and come across the line. He's going to come home in first, which is great for him. Not quite lapping Carlos Sainz, but hats off to Pierre for a stellar race. He did a good job in qualifying, and you know, and all that. So obviously we're going to push. He set the fastest lap, so we're going to try and push and see what we can do. See if we can beat that. But Nico Hülkenberg coming home in another solid position, like, because obviously with the Vettel and Bottas down, it's quite difficult. You know, P5 for Hülkenberg's fantastic. Still improving at this rate of knots. We are going to get the fastest lap. But Kimi Räikkönen coming home in P6. So fair play to Kimi. And just as we come up to the checkered flag, we run out of fuel, and Vettel almost gets us to the line. Luckily, we managed to have just a little bit spare in our pocket, not to get taken by Vettel. But I tell you what, racing it was stressful. It was a nightmare to race. But looking back at it, it was actually a cracking race. Like, the amount of overtakes, the amount of battling going on. Red Bull on the top of the podium, Mercedes and Ferrari also on the podium, Vettel and Bottas down the order, a Renault in the top 5. Like, it was a cracking race. Happy for Pierre, obviously, get his first win of the season. Vettel will have lost a lot of points. So if we're going to look at the drivers and constructors in a second, it's going to be very interesting to say the least. So here we are, and you can see it's a little bit more different to what we had before. So Vettel obviously on 81, mostly thanks to the fastest laps he's accumulated. Hamilton ahead of Charles, Gasly's jumped Bottas just a little bit. Both of the Renaults ahead of us and Kimi, so we've got to try and make up some ground on that. But that's been it for me, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you soon for the next one. Until then, bye bye.